Welcome to Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Revealed. Today we're talking all about Airbnbs, Airbnb startups, and we're talking with the founder of GetawayGoGo, a last minute vacation rental startup concept. And this individual is a serial entrepreneur. He is someone we can learn an awful lot about on this show because we love to learn from serial entrepreneurs. So if you don't know this and you're listening to this in podcast, we actually run a live show every Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern, and it's with a live audience, and you can come on stage. You can ask questions of our guest speakers or of the panel, or you can also share your experiences. The community of Clubhouse is absolutely phenomenal. The community of Startup Club is amazing. It's the reason why Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, the book that we launched in October, became a #1 bestseller on Amazon in 13 separate categories. And we're about to announce, Michelle, who'll be joining us in a second, we're about to announce that it also has been chosen as one of the 3 finalists for the Benjamin Franklin Independent Book Publishers Award. And that's something that we just heard about a couple days ago. It's going to come out, by the time you hear this in podcast, it will have already been out for a couple of weeks. But those who are on stage or those who are live, you're getting this a little bit ahead of the announcement that Forbes Books will be publishing next week about the book Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. All right, Bradley, I'm so excited we have you here today. You are a serial entrepreneur, and I don't even know which way we should go here. Because I know a lot of our listeners want to understand about how do I get into the Airbnb business, but at the same time, I'm like a kid in a candy shop. I really want to talk to you about your serial entrepreneur career and about your concept, GetawayGoGo. So maybe we can, push that to the last 15 minutes of the show, and maybe talk early on about just, what's it take to launch a successful Airbnb. What do you think?
Yeah, well, it's so great to be here, Colin. I mean, what a privilege to be invited on the show. And I'll tell you that I thought your book was also like I was a kid in a candy shop because all the things that you did and the processes, it actually comforted me in a lot of ways because I thought, here is somebody that I can relate with. There's not everybody that I just walk along the street, people you meet that kind of go down this road. It's a challenging road, but a fun road of being an entrepreneur. And to have read your book was just so fun. And I think it's interesting that entrepreneurs like to read about other entrepreneurs, either for the same reasons that I do, because I like to hear stories of success and whatever. But I just have to say that it was really fun reading your book, and I read it actually about 1.5 times. So
Yeah, and entrepreneurship is a trade. It's a trade like any other trade, and we need to continue to sharpen like sharpen the sword. We need to always make it better, and we do that by learning. Let me tell you this, Bradley. When you write your Airbnb book, we will read it back to back. I'll tell you why, because we have 13 Airbnbs as a company called Escape Club that runs in our incubator. We've done a lot of really smart things, and we've done a lot of stupid things.
yeah, yeah. Well, and that's just part of being an entrepreneur, right? So all right, so just jumping in on as far as like starting a vacation rental business, and I think that first of all, I mean I had a vacation rental property management company called Beachside Vacation Rentals. We also had a midterm property company, property management company called OC Furnish Rentals, and that was for 30-day or more rentals. So I had 2 of those companies for 10 years, and we ended up selling those so I could build GetawayGoGo. But through the process, I've actually counseled quite a few people because we managed a lot of properties, including our own. We have 5 vacation rentals ourselves. my wife and I. And there's a lot of people, and it happens every week, even now, even though after I've sold those companies several years ago, I have people calling me and asking me, what should I buy this property? What do you think about vacation rentals? And getting into the vacation rental market, I mean, there's several things that you first have to ask yourself. Number one is if you're just on your first vacation rental property, first furnished rental, is it allowed? Is it allowed in your area? Is there demand? Is there demand in your area for furnished rentals? And you just kind of start with that, and then of course, then you say, well, okay, what property are people looking for? What are the prices? What's the return on investment? All those just basic, right? Property investor questions that you would start with. I had a friend who called and he was asking me about this week, and I advised him based on their capability and their risk, assessing their risk and everything else, and how much work they wanted to do. They weren't a good fit. So not everybody's a good fit. It sounds like a good idea. Wow, these guys are making incredible money and whatnot, but you're owning a property, you are furnishing this property, you need to decorate it appropriately, and you can't just get yard sale furniture and put this in there and people are just going to rent it. I mean, there's a lot of competition that's out there right now. You need to understand your return on investment on what that really is. I mean, I think a lot of times, the whole concept of the e-myth, right? People are good at a certain thing. Well, I'm really good at this and that, but that doesn't necessarily translate into being a business owner or owning a business. So I think before jumping in to just saying, well, vacation rentals sound really good, this whole Airbnb thing is making a lot of money, really evaluating the things that I was saying and other things that people that are talking about online before you jump. So I would say that's the very start.
Yeah, and I think you're onto something there. Like you really need to figure out your why,
Yeah.
and also there is a unique formula for every business.
Yeah.
There's a unique strategy. And you touched upon a few areas here. So let's kind of break that down. A couple things. Welcome, Michelle, our co host. She is our co host on Start, Scale,
Thank
Exit, Repeat,
you.
Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Revealed. Michelle is a co owner in one of the Airbnbs, Bradley, as well. So this is very, topic is a really, really cool topic. It's really relevant for us. But it's also an interesting business because you can actually run your day job and actually do this on the side. And I sort of like that. It's one of those businesses that, especially if you get a management company, that you can do on your side. But my first question to you, so let's break down the formula just a little bit here. Location. Let's some locations work and some don't. Can you talk a little bit about that? And then maybe Michelle, you could share your experiences around that as well.
Yeah, sure. And really, I mean, it's really interesting is that the and when I say and when you're saying like some locations work and some don't, then you have to think about the mindset of the traveler. Okay, so and what is their reason for coming into town? So if they're coming in, like I'm in Southern California, San Clemente, California, we're a little beach town that is kind of wedged between San Diego County and the rest of Orange County. And in our business, Beachside Vacation Rentals, we serviced from Long Beach, which is South LA County, and then all the way through all the beach towns in Huntington Beach, Laguna Beach, all the famous Newport Beach, down into San Diego, and and the reason that we chose that area, and I'll just go through my mindset, was that it was very popular, right? So either you're gonna go. It has, what does it have? It has the beach. So, and I know that people want to go to the beach. It's a high demand area. If I'm going to build a business, then I want to build a business where there's a lot of demand. I'm from a little town in Central California called Turlock, and and it's just a small town, in the Central Valley. Well, the demand is going to be, if I decided, well, I was going to buy a property there while they're cheaper there. And I could, put furnished rental there and service people that are, coming into town to visit friends and relatives and that sort of thing. Well, my price point is going to be a certain number, and my demand is going to be a certain number. Not a lot of people, coming to Turlock, but there's a lot of people coming to San Clemente and a lot of people coming to Newport Beach and Laguna Beach and all those different areas. And so if you want to maximize your investment, then you always want to look at, well, where is the most demand? Okay. So if you're, and then also, for instance, if you're going to put the properties that are closer to the beach, like walking distance to the beach, are different than the properties that are drive to the beach, even in San Clemente. So, okay, people are going to come to San Clemente, beautiful beach town, but they have to get in their car and they drive 15, 10 minutes down to the beach. Well, you're going to get a different price point there. You're going to get a different kind of a customer that is there, and that's what you have to think about. So, obviously the whole real estate idea of location is really important when you're making that investment. So, and then if you're in a bad part of town, like, wow, this is a inexpensive house in in this or apartment in this area, but it's not a great part of town either because of being far, or it's on a hill, or it's just in a rough part of town. Well, that's not going to be a great location either, right by a freeway. A busy street, or next to a waste processing plant or something like that, right? So there's good locations, and there's not great locations, but there's all kinds of reasons why people come to town, right? That's what we like to say. Well, why are people coming to town? Why are they coming here? And then identifying who your customer is really important. Is it out of towners? Is it people like with our OC Furnished Rentals? It was mostly insurance issues like a fire or a flood, or people are moving in town because they're transitioning from one job to another, or they are, they're remodeling their house. And so they need a place to live while their house is being remodeled. Well, the 30-day or more furnished rentals, that's a great fit for them. And because it's 30 days or more, you don't have a lot of the short-term restrictions as well. You could build an amazing midterm rental business in an area that does not allow short-term rentals, but you can increase your revenue 50 to 100% just because you have it furnished, and you know who your customer is.
Michelle, did you want to add to the location conversation before we move on to
Yeah,
rents?
we totally agree with you. But one thing that I think we've also found is, amenities, because the way that Airbnb specifically does their algorithm, and plus, if people are looking at properties side by sides, we know photos, like really, really good photos. Really make a huge difference. I think that's across the platform, across the board. I used to actually work at rent.com, and we did a lot of A B testing and analytics. And we also found easily 3x your conversion rate if you had really good photos. It shocks me, some of the bad photos that people will post. And then one thing we're finding is really having a full menu of amenities. And actually, Airbnb publishes list of here are the things that you should have. I'm also kind of always amazed that people don't take the time on their listings to put things that they've been told will help the Airbnb perform. So I'm interested in your thoughts on that as well, Bradley.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why when you look at the best performing properties versus the properties that are kind of a lot of times left at the last minute, um, it, it, professional photos is my number one recommendation. And when we were doing the vacation rental property management, and like I said, we still have 5 properties, so we make sure that our photos are professional, and we make sure that we analyzed and studied. My background's in marketing, market research, etc. So when we first jumped into this, 15 years ago, then I looked at what are the top hotels doing? What are the top performing properties that, and we were watching a lot of Fixer Upper and Chip and Joanne. What are they doing? And so we, really looked at, like, we created a formula based off of those things, like current styles. So professional photos, absolutely have to have professional photos. There's no excuse for that. White duvet and sheets on the beds. Like when you see a property that has like maybe like color on the beds. I mean, hotels don't do that. We didn't do that. And all 100% of our, all the properties we managed had like white duvet, sheets on the beds, big pillows, did the whole thing, just make it look like a hotel bed. And then, I mean, there's all kinds of advice. I mean, I've
Yeah,
dozens of things I could say.
again, I sense the book coming because there's so much. I don't know if we have so much time to cover this, but what you're saying there, every Airbnb we have has a Westin Heavenly bed with Westin Heavenly mattresses, bedding, all white, and pillowcases and all that stuff, and nice pillows. It's absolutely important. I can't tell you how many times my wife and I have gone to an Airbnb and it's been a horror show. One time, like, you go there and there was like, please do not touch the meat in the freezer, right? Another time it was the air conditioning was not working properly. And then but we in the same place we wanted to get propane for the barbecue, but we had to go get it ourselves. And another time the mattresses were so hard and bad, we couldn't handle this anymore. See, we love Airbnbs because they have the experience that, you have a kitchen, it's more room, you got usually some activities, and hotels rooms can also be very depressing, but at least they're clean and they have good mattresses and whatnot. But, what if you could combine both of them? And that's the concept that we did for our Airbnbs. I will add to location. I know we skipped over that pretty quickly, but I will add that and I'm curious what your thought about this is. So strategically buying properties that work for Airbnb. And I had a friend who bought a property in Fort Lauderdale, and we have Airbnbs in Fort Lauderdale and North Captiva. I had a friend who bought an Airbnb in Fort Lauderdale. It didn't work out very well. And in his case, he bought in a really nice neighborhood, residential, a really nice school district, A-rated, and by the way, you pay for that, right? And my Airbnbs were they're in a decent neighborhood, but close, very urban, closer to the downtown where people can walk to the mall or even the beach if they want to. And they tended to be a little bit, the school district was not good, right? So we were able to get the properties at a much lower rate than this sort of high-end neighborhood. And so we came up with a philosophy, either close to the beach or close to the city center. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because that's the big draw is that, for instance, we have a triplex in Newport Beach, and kids can walk right to the beach and without their parents because it's so close and there's no road in front of it. Well, one road there, like 3 properties away is the main road, Balboa Boulevard, that's going down. It's very fast. And this is we're not talking about like you have to drive to the beach. You still have to drive to the beach, but you have to cross a busy road. And the properties that are walkable without that road are infinitely more popular, better rent as well. So yeah, I completely agree. You want to be near where people are at. Um, I'm a huge fan of that. We're always looking at those kind of advantages as part of the formula.
And then since Michelle brought up the listing, are there any other tips you might have for the listing? I mean, we have one little hack that we do where we actually buy units beside each other. And correct me if I'm wrong, so we could be screwing up something here too, because you might have a different perspective. So, but we've gone like really far. We have one, they're not developed yet, but we have one place that has 4 properties beside each other. But in any case, the idea is that we get multiple listings, right? So if you have 2 properties beside each other, you can actually have 3 listings on Airbnb, and that will give you more exposure because you can rent all of the listings is, let's say, a 7-bedroom compound or whatever, or you can rent a 3-bedroom, or you can rent a 4-bedroom. And sometimes if you have a duplex or triplex, which we do have beside each other, then we have one situation where we have a duplex and a triplex right beside each other. And I think we have 7 listings on Airbnb just for those two buildings. That's just one little hack, but do you have any other ideas or thoughts around, listings? We talked about photos already. Um, is there anything else you might be able to add?
Yeah, sure. We do the same thing with our triplex. You have it basically it's a fourth listing, which has all three of them as well. And we used to do that with our multi properties as well. I mean, I think that there's, you know, uh, I think you really want to, from a, you know, you're going to want to continually yield prices. So, I mean, I know we're, talking about amenities and Michelle talked about amenities, having all the amenities that are there. You got to have all those. It's hotel quality. You have to rethink kind of your strategy when it comes to the vacation rentals. What's the experience you want people to have? You can add, the toys, the surfboard and the boogie boards and the beach chairs and the umbrellas and that sort of thing, and then add like a fire pit in the back and jacuzzi. I just saw a study that was out there. I believe it was by AirDNA that they looked at a multi-year study on which amenities actually added to the average daily rate, your ADR, and it was hot tubs was one, and then as the top, and then the one that people thought, oh, this one's going to add value, was like a gym, like a home gym, which had no effect on price. So adding a hot tub, which is something that we would recommend a lot of times as well.
Okay, okay. This is going to be a sore point for Michelle because she
Okay.
knows I am so obsessed with hot tubs and adding hot tubs. And I keep saying, we got to add a hot tub. And she's like, you don't need a hot tub. It's North Captiva. It gets pretty cold for 3 months a year in North Captiva. You know, um, Michelle, you keep pushing back on that one with me. But here we have a study. Number one
Well,
thing.
now that I know the data, I just figured Colin likes a hot tub, right? So now that I know the data, Bradley, like I'd love to hear the other items too, because this is actually, it's about the facts, right?
Before you move on to the hot tub,
Yeah.
because like we have this one little debate about the hot tub. Okay, do you have it like fill up every time somebody goes in? Do you know what I'm saying, or is it treated? Like I
He
know that
means
sounds like we're
empty
down
it
in the
and
weeds now.
refill it.
Oh, not typically. I mean, we have a regular pool service so that people are coming, several times a week, and they'll, come and, monitor the hot tub. And now that may kind of gross people out, but I think that there is some maintenance, some extra maintenance that goes along with that. But you can also charge a hot tub maintenance fee, and along with every single booking. So we were charging like fifty
Oh
dollars or
my gosh,
whatever.
it's so funny you say that because I stayed at an Airbnb recently and they said, do you want to heat the pool and do you want the hot tub? And it was a $50 charge.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we actually just didn't give a choice of the um, of the heating or not, because that just seems silly to me. It's just like, well, this is the hot tub maintenance fee, and then it just covers any kind of maintenance that we need to do, whether we needed to drain the pool, or we needed to, do an extra cleaning or whatever it is. But and then we would also with pools is that we would charge a heating fee for the pools, but it wasn't like a choice like, oh, do you want the pool heated? Well, no, this is a pool heating fee, up to this degree. In fact, fees are an incredible way to make extra money. People are used to paying fees and whatever. I mean, we've seen the statistics on the whole fees aspect. If you're ever going to like the Vacation Rental Managers Association conferences, VRMA, the people who've been doing this for 50 years have been, doing the fees, or like a what would you call it, like a damage waiver fee. So instead of like, another trick too. You guys probably already do this, but instead of having a damage deposit, which is like $500 or $1,000 or whatever people were charging, back in the day, and some people still are, is that we would charge a damage fee and a damage waiver. So if anything happened in the house, it could be like $2,500 worth of damage. They scratched the floors or broke something, really big. Their $100 or whatever they put in to the fee, it it paid for that, and you didn't have to worry about that. And there was no, emotional bank account withdrawal that you had with the customer experience. And the owner knew that the property was going to be taken care of, and the traveler knew. Have you ever tried to get money from Airbnb or VRBO from a property owner side or from a traveler side? It's hit and miss. Sometimes you get the money, and sometimes you have to fight for it, pictures, everything else, and it's very difficult. So that's a great hack. I mean, and we found out that we self-funded our our damage waiver fees, and we were literally had to cash that account out at the end of each year, and that account was like $100,000 to $150,000. Anyway,
No, I
that's
like that. And Airbnb has that insurance fee built in, correct?
they into their service fee most likely.
Yeah. And any thoughts on this? Like, when we first started out, we had multiple platforms. And by the way, I love the get the
Getaway GoGo.
your concept. Thank you, Getaway GoGo, because I think that's a great opportunity for us to monetize our properties that are not. If someone hasn't rented in the last 30 days or whatever before it goes live, that we pop it onto that service at a discounted rate. I think that's a great concept. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later. But what is your thought on having multiple, like Airbnb, VRBO, Expedia, and try to break it into multiple? Because one company, like our management company prefers just to do Airbnb because they say if you try to break into too many, you'll lose the heuristics. Sorry, live show here, dog barking in the background, but you lose the search there. You don't get as much search juice.
Well, let's look at the big companies. So the big companies like Vacasa and and the others that are out there, the big property management companies. You look at Interhome and Aways and Sykes Cottages. Those are all in Europe, and the other companies that are out there. They're on 15 plus platforms. They're not just holding on to Airbnb because they don't want to build their business around one platform. I mean, just today I saw an announcement about something that Airbnb was limiting, like during weather events, that they would automatically refund the money in an extreme weather event or something else, regardless of the property manager's cancellation policy. So you guys have to worry about in Florida a lot. I mean, I don't have to, here in California, but the guests can trigger that, and they'll trigger it automatically. So if you're building your business around one company, and their algorithm could change, tomorrow. I mean, I've heard of people just being deplatformed for whatever reason, not being able to get on there. So the big companies don't do it. So when we had our vacation rental property management company, we had a book direct strategy. We had Airbnb that were just kind of starting with property managers back then. VRBO, we had FlipKey at the time, which really is not very functional anymore. And we try and get on multiple platforms. In business, you call that incremental revenue, right? And that is when you can increase revenue in areas that maybe some other area wouldn't be able to do that. I haven't seen it hurt. I mean, my properties are super full and we're on multiple platforms. I recommend multiple platforms. And as long as you have a PMS, like a property management system that can handle, sending out the calendars and the pricing data, then, super efficiently, you're just going in your reservation system does it automatically. Then it's super easy. You can go into, Colin, I have a question. So what are you running all these properties through as a company, like as a brand?
Yeah, I mean, our brand is Escape Club. I will say though, we haven't really launched the brand yet. We're actually in the process of doing that. But you can actually book direct at stayvantage.com. They're the management company that we use
Oh, okay.
and pretty much dedicated to us. But they have some other properties We have just a very unique formula, and they have a unique formula, and we're working together. And if you follow that formula, they're going to expand their business. We'll expand our business potentially outside of their areas as
Yeah.
well. So we have a couple brands there, Stay Vantage and when I say Stay Vantage, STAYVANAGE.com, and you can check out all the properties there. I mean, they do a phenomenal job, and the reviews are insane. Like we're talking the
Mm-hmm.
best of the best. How important are reviews in this business?
Oh, incredibly important because it's your eyes look at the photos, you read through the description, but I think we as highly trained shoppers also know that, what we read and what we see is not always the truth. And it may also be, the photos may be older, like right when the property was first remodeled like 10 years ago. And now what is it like? So those reviews, just like any reviews, keep people accountable. And accountability is incredibly important when it comes to any kind of an experience, whether it's a hotel or a vacation rental or a product that you're buying on Amazon or whatever else. Those reviews are accountability, right?
Absolutely. I don't care what business it is. It's really reviews are absolutely critical. And for even for the book, Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. We have a 4.8 on Amazon, 4.6 on Goodreads, and that's one of the highest in the industries. And people wouldn't be buying the book unless we had good reviews.
Right.
The Airbnbs are even just almost more like on steroids,
Yeah.
right? Like if you don't have a 4.9 or higher, to me, it's like, oh, that's not good. I mean, that to me is the cutoff mentally almost, even when I'm looking at Airbnbs. I know that seems like maybe a little too extreme, but I'm not going to book an Airbnb that's got a 4.6 or a 4.7, or probably even a 4.8. And is that too far? Or like, am I off base here? Or
I think that there's, when our experience as vacation rental property managers that you run across when you're dealing with the general public, and you have all kinds of personalities and characters and everything else, so I think that there were people that tried to blackmail us. Basically, you got to give me this free night. I'm going to give you a bad review. We had that all the time. We had a great relationship with VRBO that we built at the time, where if that started to happen, then we would just call them up and just say, hey, look, this is what's happening, and they would discount that. But I think that when you look at like a 4.6, someone may say, well, it was a beautiful vacation, blah, 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 but the weather was really bad. And then they'll mark it down, and you go, what? Wait a minute, you marked my property down because the weather was bad? And so that happens. So I think that, sure, people actually do read reviews, and but here, what I was gonna say is that getting good reviews is really a function, is not accidental. There's a lot of work that goes into that, before a person arrives, because if you think about kind of that customer experience, before they arrive, you're giving them a lot of information about what happened, what they can expect. Then they experience the property. They're there the very hour that they're there. We give them a call, or there's an automatic message that goes out and says, hey, how's everything going? And is there anything that you need? What can we do for you? And then, before they check out, reminding them. You wouldn't believe how many people forget that they have to check out on the day that they actually have to check out. Oh, I have to check out today? What? And so you show up and there's cleaners and everything else. So, in order to minimize that, we send out message the night before and the morning of, and then with what else they need, and then sign up for Facebook, for dreaming for the future, etc. And then when they leave, they actually leave. We give them a day to think about, to travel. Then we'll send another note that would say, we would love to hear your thoughts about the property. And then we would, encourage them to leave a review. And then So I mean, it takes work. You know, there's work to like that customer experience that's there. It takes proactive thinking on how you're actually going to get a good review, right? You don't want to just leave it to chance.
Absolutely. And by the way, so if you're in the audience right now and you have an Airbnb and you have a story, just raise your hand, come on stage. It's Good Friday. We'd love to hear from you. And if you have a question for Bradley, this is your opportunity to raise your hand and come on stage and ask a question. You may be running an Airbnb and have a question, or you may want to share your formula and get his advice, because I'm going to do that right now. So we have these 6 development lots on North Captiva, and we've got 5 live homes on North Captiva right now. And we've been trying to figure out our formula. At the beginning, I said we did a lot of things right, and we did a lot of things not so right. And now we're in the process of designing and building purpose-built vacation rentals. So one thing about this island you should know is about 60 to 70% of the homes are vacation rentals. It's an island with no roads. You go to the island. There's 300 homes on it right now, and we're actually working with a manufacturer, a company that can manufacture homes off the island, bring on, build the home, and then a contractor comes in, and 6 months later the home's constructed. So we figured out how to do it quickly. And by the way, our last 4 projects took over 2 years to complete. We did have a hurricane in the middle of all that. But one of the so here's how we're sort of breaking down the formula. We're looking at making 4 bedroom homes with each bedroom, except for the kids' room, each bedroom will have its own restroom with a shower and toilet and stuff. And there'll be small closets, because what we discovered on this particular island is there's nowhere to go. It's a nature island. It's not like there's no clubs. You don't need to bring dresses and jackets and things like that. So like one of the places I have right now on a beach house, which I pinned at the top there on the link at the top there, that place has a walk-in closet in the master bedroom, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Nobody uses it. Let's kill this, put in a master tub, and deck that out, and shrink the closet down dramatically. In fact, in that house, in the house I'm talking about right now, it's called Sunset Escape Club. If you put that in a URL, you could see it, and that goes to the Airbnb listing. But in that house, we have 2 bedrooms with no closets at all, and no one complains. And we have a 4.95 star, over 40 reviews on this property. And so we've come up with this formula of, okay, every house has to have the following: bedroom, a king size. Oh, all the beds have to be king size Weston Heavenly beds. We like to use Weston Heavenly, but they have to be king size. A restroom attached, except for the kids' room. Kids' room has to have bunk rooms, bunk beds, maybe 4 beds, whatever it is. We like to get 4 beds into a kids' room. We have to have a pool, because that generates a lot more income for this particular island. It's extremely important to have the pool. And then anything else, Michelle? Am I missing in our little formula that we sort of come up with for the islands?
Well, I mean, again, like Colin said, there's really not amenities on the island. So we think it's critically important that each one is it's like a little mini boutique hotel, Bradley.
Oh, and yeah,
So
a good one is
there's
the Infinity Game
all
Board.
right, so let me
All
finish.
right.
Let me
Yeah, I'm
finish.
getting excited.
So there's lots of, beautiful things to keep yourself entertained. There's TVs in every room. We put bikes, and there's golf carts, because I think Colin said you can't drive a car. It's all golf carts. Like lots of ways for people to be entertained, but also all the cooking items that someone might have. And one thing that our property managers have done, because they have young children, I personally wouldn't have thought of this, and there's everything for families of all ages. So it's really fully outfitted top to bottom.
Yeah, I'm looking at this property. It's beautiful. It's you have all the formulas there. You have the bike. You have the bikes. Um, you have the boards. Obviously, it's not a surfing beach because you're on the Gulf. So you have the stand-up boards. I would say that part of our formula was also because I think it's interesting. Why don't you have a bathroom for the kids' room?
There actually
No, no,
is.
no.
Maybe
So
it's
in
just
that
not.
particular house, there actually is.
Oh,
Yeah,
But what
there
we're saying
is.
is when we develop the homes, the
oh,
bathroom can be like a main washroom because obviously every time you add a bathroom, it increases the cost dramatically,
yeah,
right? But couples always want their own bathroom.
yeah.
Kids can you can have kids and they can go out and use the main washroom. It can be part of the, that can be where the tub is or whatever. But the idea is that you don't have to have a bathroom in the kids' room. Well, I don't know. Maybe we're wrong. You might
Yeah,
have a
I
different
mean,
perspective, right?
I would do that. I mean, and the kids' room would have the one bath. Typically, like all the other adult rooms, you wouldn't do a bath. But we always made sure part of our formula was also when we were remodeling properties, we did 30 remodels, and we would always make sure there was at least one bath that was adjoined to a room that would have, or near the room, or in the hall, whatever
Yeah.
that would be the kids bathroom, and that was always good. So we like to have, if there's a room for, if you're doing a purpose built house, then for sure bathroom connected to every single bedroom. We started doing that with our own vacation properties as well, and yeah, just as many things you can as you can get to entertain people. Little welcome kit. We always like to have little welcome guests, like a welcome gift for people as well, and and then if all your properties are looking similar, like say you were talking about four properties that were the next to each other, then typically what we would recommend for something like that is like a homogeneous look, but a variation on the theme, because that way, and very,
It's Friday.
Sorry, Bradley, we're doing a live show here. John, something went wrong with your speaker there. So
okay.
we can bring you back up on stage, John, if you like, but we just got to make certain you're not, you get your speaker off. All right, we got a couple of people who want to come on right now,
Sure.
and hopefully we can do this correctly. Sean, you got to
Okay,
keep.
so what did can I say something?
No, no. So we're not going to do that. If you do come on stage, just please wait. We will call upon you, Eon. We see you're on stage. We will get to you in a minute, but you can't just start just jump into it, okay? Bradley, sorry about that.
Oh no, that's okay. No, I mean I think it's a great idea. So I mean having thinking again like a hotel. I mean, these guys have spent billions of dollars and thinking about all of this, and why recreate the wheel. So the if you have three four properties together. Or let's say you're building a brand, like say you're building a vacation rental. Maybe there's people in the audience that want to build a property management company. You're super good at this. You have all these properties, and you love administration, you love sales, you love accounting, all the different things you have all the people in place. Building a business, of course, that's a whole nother thing. You can even build a business when not own any properties. So let's say you're like, wow, okay, I want to get in the vacation rental business, but I don't really have the resources to put 20% down on this property or whatever else. Well, you can leverage other people's properties. Say if you're, I guess, again, good at marketing, good at coordinating teams, all these sorts of things, then you can actually build an amazing, thriving business around vacation rentals without actually owning any of them. And so you're leveraging other people's money, their $1 million property or whatever it is, and and then you can make 20%, 15%, 30%, depending on the market that you're at, just by doing that, and you build a brand, and you can continue to grow. So I just wanted to throw that out there too. You don't have to have your own properties, kind of like Colin or myself, but you can actually build. You can build an Airbnb VR, vacation rental business without any money to put down.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting concept,
I
isn't it?
have a question.
Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, yeah, I think I know where you're going, Colin, but I'm thinking about legal. This is something that I feel like we haven't solidified on. Do you put every property in a separate corp? I'm curious your thoughts on this, Bradley.
Yeah. Well, for our clients, I mean, most of our clients had 1 to 3 properties, and we definitely recommended that they put them in separate corporations, and they have commercial, style insurance for specifically for vacation rentals. You need to, if you have vacation rentals and your insurance company doesn't know that they're vacation rentals, then you're going to want to let them know. And even if it costs a little bit more, you can go with Foremost Insurance, which is one of Farmers' sub brands, and USAA now does it. There's lots of other companies that understand this market now, but you want to make sure that that's happening. So from a legal perspective, or as far as like your own protection, then you want to make sure that your insurance company knows that. As far as what was the other part of the legal question, Michelle?
No, I think you got it. So you're separating them out into different corporations. You're doing accounting probably the same way as well, right?
Yes, for sure. Yep. It's got to
And
be
then,
separate. Yep. Well, I mean, as far as like not each property would have its own QuickBooks account, but like say for your 13 properties, I mean, I would probably put them all into one corporation, and then have one QuickBooks account that is dealing with each one of those, even though they're broken up
yeah,
separately.
that is actually pretty much kind of how we're doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So have you sold? I'm kind of shifting here because we are talking with Colin, who wrote Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. And
yeah.
something I'm very interested in is, potentially selling some of these properties after they get built up, or
Yeah.
maybe they're not a performer. Like, have you had experience, or what are your thoughts on how you go about that? What is a good time to sell, and kind of how you price?
Well, I always like to sell when the things are the most valuable. So, and I think that we always, as entrepreneurs, should always be thinking when we start a business, what is the exit plan from the very beginning? So, all the businesses I've had, from my skateboard company business to my IT service company, to my multiple property management companies and other companies that I've built, you always think like, well, what is the exit in mind? So, what does that look like? So when you buy the property, you have to be thinking, is this, can, am I making money on the buy? Not necessarily making money on the sell. I learned this from an old real estate guy. He's like, when you're looking at property, Brad, you think about, how can I make money? The minute I buy this property, I'm making money. And that could be because you need to do a remodel or whatever it is, but you're always going to add value to the property when you remodel the property. Typically, if it's in a good location, let's just assume that. And then when you're getting this property, by increasing, the highest and best use. It's what I always say in real estate broker as well. So I kind of think this way. What is the highest best use for the property? If you're in a beach like this property that you have here, this 5 bedroom on the beach, the highest and best use for this property is not like a single family house where people go to school. This is a vacation rental property, right? That's the highest and best use. So if you have a property that's maybe further away, you have to kind of rethink what's your highest and best use. And then, so as far as like selling, get it to the point where you have lots of reservations and you sell it as a vacation rental at a much higher multiple. I mean, the properties I had, one of my properties in Newport, that was, we had to do a refinance on it, and it was unbelievable the difference between a vacation rental rent, just a normal like annual rent, and just like someone buying it as a single family. I mean, it was 2 times more as a vacation rental. So
Yeah, and I like where you're going here. I like the path you're going down. In the book we talk about two things, if you remember, when it comes to real estate and any business: buy well, leverage well.
yeah,
And it's interesting you talk about you don't even need to sell your business. You could technically buy well, convert it into do some renovations, convert it into a rental business, get a higher valuation, and get all of your money back out of that property, so that you're now just making pure profit going forward.
Yeah.
And we are in a difficult time. Interest rates are very high right now.
Yeah.
We've been using a company called Host Financial to help us with the leverage, and they've been really good partners. But you're still talking at interest rates between 7 and 8%. But what I like about them is they only look at the property. They don't look at your entire income portfolio, which, and they do short-term mortgages. So, you're not getting a 30-year mortgage, locked in for 5 years. They'll do shorter-term mortgages as well in the hopes that the prices will come down and we can get better leverage going forward in the future.
Yeah, it's a big factor.
Yeah, and I like this idea of start, scale, exit, repeat for Airbnb. If you get a formula, and that's one of the things we've been thinking about on this island, where it takes 2 years to build a home, uh, and basically a year to prepare. So you're really talking 3 years, so which we can bring down to 1 year, 1 year to prepare the lot, through permits and pilings and things like that, and then 6 to 8 months to actually build it, which is the key point because that's when you need the construction loan. We think we got that formula down packed. We think we've got the home down packed, and we know that we have a management company. We can rent it out for a year after it's launched. It can demonstrate an income. Then we can sell it and do that over and over again. In fact, that particular island has about 200 building lots remaining, so we have pretty good inventory. As long as we can keep buying lots at decent prices, we think we might have an opportunity to start, scale, exit, repeat for Airbnb. And Bradley, we should work on a book together
That sounds
with
great.
that title. Wouldn't that be fun? That would be
I,
fun.
I love that.
Now let's shift gears here for a minute because we have an opportunity to talk to a serial entrepreneur. Somebody who's done it over and over again, who knows this industry very well, who launched a company called GetawayGoGo. And it's a fascinating concept. Can you talk to us about your concepts and how you thought about it and where it's going and just the roller coaster that you're going through with this particular startup?
Yeah, absolutely. So when I was a yield manager, marketing manager at my own company, Beachside Vacation Rentals, I realized that there was at the 14 days before arrival, which is actually almost half of all vacation rental bookings happen within that window of time, between 40 and 70%, depending where you're at. And we had some marketing challenges with that. And so I thought, man, I need a hotel tonight for vacation rentals, but a book direct experience where people are paying the actual price that the vacation rental property management company is offering, and without like a big service fee, which can be, what people don't know, it's up to 20% based on the total reservation, including a percentage of the housekeeping that they're paying. And if I'm trying to lower my prices within, last 30 days or 14 days before arrival, but then, the large travel OTAs like Airbnb or VRBO, they still have their service fee that they're paid, and I'm trying to lower my price. Well, that's not helpful. And price triggers, it does trigger bookings. And there are people, half the people, they make bookings based off of price. And if they see a good price, let's go. And so the idea was to create this book direct marketplace where people would get the actual price from the property manager, and the traveler would pay no service fee, and the property manager would just pay a flat $10 per booking. It was like, it was designed the way that I designed it the way a property manager would want to have it and the way a traveler would want to have it. And so anyway, so we embarked to build that company. So I sold my company, Beachside Vacation Rentals, to build this company, and Bootstrap funded it. And we just came out of our beta, MVP last October. So I'd say we're in our medium viable product right now. We now have 50,000 properties in 40 plus countries from over 650 property managers. And we haven't publicly launched in the sense of big ads or anything like that yet. We're still doing some final touches. We just finished our apps, from the App Store, for your Apple phone and also for Android. So you can just look that up, and those at GetawayGoGo. And you can have at your fingertips properties from almost everywhere. Obviously, Airbnb has 7 million listings. We have 50,000, but we're going to get there. We've just started, really. And so you can go there and get a property that is you can see what the discount is. You can search by price. You can't search by price on Airbnb. I don't know if you knew that. And you're also going to save on top of whatever the property manager has just discounted the price. You're going to save up to 20% on fees. So that's kind of the concept, and I'm super excited about it. It's a lot of fun. I mean, there's so many different ways to kind of think about this and talk about Getaway GoGo. I'm very passionate about it, but I'm also very realistic as an entrepreneur. I want to know what people have to say. Is it working? Is it going to be something that people want? Right? That's how I'm going to be able to scale, and that's how I'm going to be able to exit as well.
Well, I think the story is absolutely great. I mean, last minute vacation companies have been around for years, and it seems like you sort of focused in on Airbnb. Well, first of all, how do you make money then if you're not the customer's not paying a fee and the management company's not paying? How do you make money?
Yeah, the property management company pays $10 per booking. It's a flat rate of $10 per booking, and
It's
then
a success-based model, and I think that's a great model. But I would suggest you might pay more, charge more than that.
Well, let me ask.
oh
Let me figure
yeah.
that out though. $10 per booking. What does that mean? So if I want to list it, I only pay $10, and then someone could just. But how does the credit card work and everything? Like you.
Yeah, yeah. So the way it works is like, say a traveler they come to the website, they go to Getaway GoGo, they find your property in Captiva, and they say, "Oh, I want to go there. It's open." So they make a reservation, but it goes directly to your property manager. Your property manager would sign up to connect to us, and then this is in advance. Anyway, they make the payment. Credit card goes into Getaway GoGo just like it would on Airbnb or anything else. But the payment goes directly to the property manager as opposed to like a third party like myself. Okay. And then when that booking is made, it triggers a $10 fee to the property manager to me. So I make $10 only if the property books.
Right.
So right? So there's no subscription. So like I have a property manager, that's we're about to launch that has 22,000 properties in Europe. Well, they're not going to want to pay a subscription for their 22,000 properties for an unproven, marketplace. So we only charge if there's, if we make a booking. We did our job, right? But I also wanted to make sure that we have properties that are in our portfolio when we were property managers $100 a night, and we have properties that were $1,000 a night. But what I didn't like is that my $1,000 a night properties, when they were booked on Airbnb or VRBO, it was a huge fee for the traveler and for me, because they would charge me as well. And but they didn't do anything different, any kind of different marketing or highlighting my expensive property than they did for my $100 a night property. But they charged me more. Does that make sense? So anyway, that was the reason for the
Yeah.
flat fee.
But you're obviously not paying the credit card fees. Like the customer pays, someone pays the credit card fees.
Yes, the whatever credit card that processor that the property management company has
Okay, so you're working
an
with
agreement
bigger
with.
companies because not everyone has their own credit card processing
Right. Yes, we
system.
only work, Getaway GoGo only works with property management companies. So if you're a property manager that is connected to a property
Okay.
management system, like say you could have one property. I mean, we have people in Getaway GoGo that are using like a Hostfully or Hostaway or some kind of a, property management system. But they want to really organize, their company with a reservation system. And so they can just select Getaway GoGo, that way. But we're working typically with professional property managers.
Right, like the one that we work with. That would
Yes,
be, yeah. So that, and it's all automated at a certain point. Like you can all automate the properties. Like if it's available 30 days prior, it'll automatically go on to Getaway GoGo.
it automatically does. And you can
I
actually
love it.
choose whether, hey, I don't want people coming the day of, or even they can't book 2 days before. So you can select that. You can say, yep, I want, people can only book within 48 hours, but they can't book on the same day or 24 hours. They can actually select that as well.
Yeah, I love that. And by the way, I just checked in for 1 week. We got 1 week left on that beach house in June. It's 2,069 a night. The Airbnb fee is $2,144. On your service, it would be $10.
It would be $0 to the traveler and $10 to the
Unbelievable.
property manager. Yeah, yeah.
Unbelievable.
So and why wouldn't anybody want to go to the go to a book direct site and pay nothing? Right? I mean, it makes it makes perfect sense. But that's exactly what they're doing when they're going to your property manager's website, and then they're booking directly with them. They're not paying a service
That's
fee,
right. Yeah.
right? So what we did is, I kind of call it, we're going direct together, right?
Yeah.
So all these property managers, 650 of them so far in 42 countries, are like, yeah, we're gonna put all of our properties onto the same site as if people are booking directly on our website, but it's the power of a marketplace with the personalization and the pricing of a book direct of a book direct experience.
Well, you know what, Bradley? This was an amazing session. I really believe you are helping us decode what it takes to be a successful Airbnb owner and entrepreneur, and your career, your success, and where you're going, and sharing with us just where you are at right now is amazing. I know I'm talking to a future unicorn, founder. So I get, I really, really, really appreciate you coming on and spending time with us right now. You've been listening to Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat, Serial Entrepreneur Secrets Revealed. Again, if you are listening to this in podcast, you can come on stage on Clubhouse, on Startup Club, and join us live to ask questions or share your experiences. And we're going to continue to bring Bradley back and other great speakers, but you're not going to know about that unless you get on our mailing list. Our mailing list you can sign up to at www.startup.club. We have a speaker coming on, and we're going to announce the speaker, and he is going to drop the price of his ebook to 99 cents for 24 hours. But again, you're not going to know about it unless you sign up to that mailing list. And we have some other announcements that we're going to be making around AI and Startup Club AI, and also around some awards. We talked about earlier that Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat was a finalist in the IBPA, Independent Book Publishing Association, Benjamin Franklin Award. We're one of 3 finalists, and we're going to find out on April 26th whether or not we can crack the #1 spots for independent books published in 2023. And by the way, Bradley, you really should be thinking about getting a book out there because you know a lot about this space. I think you do extremely well, and I'd love to write the forward or in some ways participate with that. But thank you very much.
That's amazing. Thank you. That's an incredible compliment coming from you for sure.